Gojo Satoru is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in the world, with his cursed energy even rivaling the likes of Sukuna, the king of curses. It took Sukuna, Mahoraga, and Agito to finally pin Gojo down. But is there anyone else in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe that can take down the pride of the Gojo family? In today's video, we'll explore what would happen if Gojo fought against all of his students at Jujutsu High. Let's start off by looking at all of the students' abilities, and seeing how well they measure up against Gojo. First, we have Nobara Kugisaki with her straw doll technique. Nobara's combat style is aggressive and creative, as she uses nails and a hammer as her weapons of choice to deliver devastating attacks through her resonance technique. But here's the problem. Nobara is fundamentally a physical attacker, which is naturally countered by Gojo's Infinity. Even for her resonance technique, which utilizes dolls to do damage to the target, Nobara would have to obtain a part of Gojo's body, which is no easy task. So while Nobara's raw determination is admirable, without a way to bypass Infinity, she's effectively neutralized in this battle. Given that it has such a huge impact on our theory, let's actually dive deeper into Gojo's Infinity, which basically functions as a passive defense. Infinity is the simplest form of Gojo's Limitless, and basically slows down any attack that approaches him to the point where it never reaches the user. This is also going to be an issue for our second student, Panda. Unlike the others, Panda is not human, and is actually a sophisticated cursed corpse, with multiple cores created by Principal Yaga. Panda's fighting style is primarily based on punches, but he also uses cursed energy to reinforce his defenses and enhance his striking power. When Panda shifts to his gorilla mode, he becomes a powerhouse capable of even demolishing small buildings at the cost of consuming more cursed energy. But while Panda's physical strength is genuinely impressive, we hit the same wall again as his fighting style is entirely physical. Now we get into the heavy-hitting territory with Yuji Itadori, the series' protagonist and one of the most physically gifted characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. Even before becoming Sukuna's vessel, Yuji had incredible strength, speed, and durability, and these abilities only amplified after consuming Sukuna's fingers. Yuji's fighting style is brutal and efficient, overwhelming opponents with a barrage of black flash-enhanced strikes. And when he's in the zone, he's arguably the best hand-to-hand combatant among the students. But here's where we see the pattern. Even Yuji's incredible black flashes, which distort space and increase the destructive power of his strikes, are useless if they never land. So while Yuji's raw combat ability is world-class, he'd need to rely on his teammates to do the real damage, and would be limited to a support role rather than direct confrontation. Things get interesting when we move on to Maki Zenin, who exercises spirits using only cursed tools. Maki is physically incapable of performing any cursed techniques, as she operates under a heavenly restriction that sacrifices cursed energy in exchange for physical abilities that transcend human limitations. After fully awakening her potential, Maki became comparable to Toji Fushiguro, who once pushed Gojo to his absolute limits. Like Toji, Maki's lack of cursed energy makes her invisible to cursed energy detection, and this also has the useful side effect of making her immune to the sure hit effect of domain expansions. Now, Maki still faces challenges against Infinity itself, as it's a passive defense, but her weapons, especially cursed tools like the Split Soul Katana, might be able to interfere with Gojo's Limitless. But now we're moving on from the physical attackers to the Jujutsu sorcerers who have cursed techniques that might actually be able to hurt Gojo. First up, we have Toge Inumaki, whose cursed speech is one of the most broken techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen. By infusing his words with cursed energy, he can command reality itself to obey him. Don't move forces paralysis, while blast away sends opponents flying. The key question here is, can cursed speech bypass Infinity? The simple answer is yes, because this cursed technique affects the target directly without requiring physical contact, so it cannot be blocked by Infinity. However, it's a bit more complicated than that, because the effectiveness of cursed speech depends on the strength of the target. Due to Gojo's 6 eyes and immense curse energy reserves, commanding him to do even something simple would take a massive toll on Inumaki, and have severe backlash on his throat. Our next student, Kinji Hakari, might be one of the most underrated fighters in this lineup. Hakari's domain expansion, Idle Death Gamble, turns combat into a pachinko game, where landing a jackpot grants him unlimited cursed energy for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. During a jackpot, Hakari becomes nearly unkillable, as his unlimited cursed energy reserves keep his reverse curse technique running in overdrive to heal any injury instantly. His cursed energy becomes so abundant in this state that Gojo himself once acknowledged that Hakari could surpass his output while in unkillable mode. This matters a lot, because Hakari in jackpot mode could potentially overwhelm Infinity through sheer relentless cursed energy output. Hakari's jackpot state also makes him the perfect tank for this team composition, allowing him to create openings for teammates who can actually exploit Gojo's weaknesses. And this is where Fushiguro Megumi comes in, because the 10 Shadows technique is the only known counter to the Limitless technique of the Gojo clan. Historically, 2 members of each clan, each possessing the 10 Shadows and Limitless, had killed each other in battle. But how does 10 Shadows counter infinity? As we saw in the fight between Gojo and Sukuna, the answer lies in the divine general Mahoraga. Mahoraga's ability is adaptation. It can adapt to any phenomenon, including curse techniques. Against infinity, Mahoraga would initially be unable to reach Gojo, but with each rotation of its wheel, it would adapt, and Mahoraga would eventually develop a way to bypass or neutralize infinity entirely. Beyond Mahoraga, Megumi's domain expansion, Chimera Shadow Garden, could potentially clash with Infinite Void. While there's no way Megumi is overpowering Gojo's domain, we do know that his imperfect domain expansion could disrupt more powerful domains and negate their sure hit effect. Meanwhile, Megumi's Shikigami can attack from multiple angles, and as Sukuna demonstrated with Agito, multiple beasts can be merged to create even more powerful Shikigami. The problem here is that Megumi can't fully control Mahoraga, so summoning it is essentially a suicide pact. But in this hypothetical team battle, if Megumi is willing to summon Mahoraga knowing his teammates can exploit the opening, it becomes the ultimate trump card. Finally, we have Okotsu Yuta, who possesses incredible cursed energy reserves, and actually surpasses Gojo in terms of raw capacity. This means that in Domain Expansion Clash, Yuta is the only student who might survive inside Infinite Void long enough for teammates to intervene, and his cursed energy reserves are deep enough to defend himself, at least temporarily. Yuta's cursed energy is so vast that even casual techniques carry devastating power, but what makes him even more broken is his ability to copy other sorcerers' cursed techniques. For example, Yuta copied Inumaki's cursed speech technique, used a megaphone to amplify it, and just straight up ordered a swarm of lower grade curses to die. Yuta also has copied techniques like summoning Shikigami, Technique Extinguishment, and even Sukuna's Cleave. In addition to all of this, Yuta is a master of reverse curse technique and cursed energy reinforcement of his own body, making him one of the few fighters that are as durable as Gojo. As if all of that wasn't enough, Yuta also has control over the curse spirit Rika, which is strong enough to handle the likes of Yuji all by herself. But now for the main event. Let's simulate how this battle would actually unfold. Let's set the battlefield in a massive open area so that everyone can go all out. Let's say the Tokyo Jujutsu High Training Grounds, for example. Gojo stands in the center, hands in pockets. He's not taking this seriously yet. To him, this is a teaching opportunity, a chance to show his students exactly how wide the gap is between them and the pinnacle of Jujutsu sorcery. Yuji, Nobara, and Panda charge from 3 directions. They know they can't touch Gojo, but they're not trying to. This is just a distraction. Don't move. Inumaki's cursed speech cuts through the battlefield. For just a fraction of a second, Gojo's movement stutters. That's when Maki strikes. She'd been circling, waiting for this exact moment, and the split soul katana swings in an arc toward Gojo's neck. Infinity still blocks it, but Maki's blade pushes closer than anyone else's attacks have. The katana's ability to cut the soul creates a unique interaction barrier, but it's not enough to bypass Infinity completely. Hakari opens his domain, Idle Death Gamble, and hits a jackpot. The battlefield floods with cursed energy as he enters in his unlimited mode, music blaring from his technique. Hakari charges forward, combining his efforts with Maki. His strikes don't get through Infinity, but the sheer volume of cursed energy forces Gojo to actively maintain his defense. Yuta enters the fray, Rika manifesting at his side. Now Gojo faces 3 close-range combatants and is finally pushed far enough to strike back against his students. Gojo removes his blindfold and unleashes his domain expansion, planning to knock his students out with about half a second in Infinite Void. But Yuta immediately counters with his own domain expansion, Authentic Mutual Love. The 2 domains clash, creating a dimensional tug-of-war. Gojo's Unlimited Void is more refined, but Yuta's cursed energy reserves keep him from being immediately crushed. The domains cancel each other out partially, creating an unstable space where neither's sure-hit effect functions properly. However, Gojo forcefully dominates the domain clash, causing Yuta's domain to shatter. Yuta coughs blood from the backlash, but remains standing with Rika supporting him. Curse Technique Reversal, Red. The repelling force detonates, sending everyone flying. Hakari's jackpot allows him to survive intact, Maki's durability keeps her conscious, and Yuta shields the others with Rika taking the brunt. But the message is clear, Gojo can end this whenever he wants. Megumi knows they're out of options, there's only one card left to play. With this treasure, I summon 8-handled Sword Divergent Sela Divine General Mahoraga. Gojo's expressions shift to something serious. So, you were willing to go that far. And this is where Gojo actually stops playing around. He uses his hollow technique, Purple, and obliterates Mahoraga in an instant. Gojo's cursed energy surges to a level they've never felt before, and once again he opens his domain expansion, Infinite Void. This time, there's no domain clash. Yuta is too exhausted, and everyone except Maki is trapped in infinite information. Maki tries to move, her heavenly restriction protecting her from the worst effects, but Gojo is quick to knock her out. Gojo releases his domain and everyone collapses, unconscious but alive. You're all going to be incredible sorcerers, he says softly. Maybe someday you really could beat me.